Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode on the Self-Help University. My name is Devin, I am your host, and this is the podcast where I help all of you guys on your personal development journey. Now it's ironic that I say that and I know it's the name of the podcast because today this whole episode is going to be based on self-help and personal development books. If you guys are like a guru on this type of stuff and you're really into personal development and self-help like I am, you will definitely have come across some of these books, or at least you might have even owned some of these books. You might have read them in the past, you might have seen them at your local library, because anytime I go into any type of bookshop and I go under personal development, I seem to see all of these books. What I really wanted to talk about, as much as I want to talk about the books individually, is do they actually help, or are they like a get-rich-quick scam for the author of the book? Because we've seen, these kind of memes of these things, like, in TV shows, like get-rich-quick, these books, and they've always been a joke, but when you look into it, there's actually a lot of books written on the topic, and what I wonder is, are these things a scam, or do they actually help people? Because a lot of these books are like Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week, how you can work for 4 hours a week, but still have a full-time income, like as if you were working 40 hours a week on a full-time job and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people, when they look at it at face value, they say, oh my god, that's such a scam. They just dismiss it straight away. And fair enough, I think it's okay for you to dismiss a book if you've actually read it and you've consumed the knowledge it's trying to give you, because I think a lot of people as well, once they do read the book, or when they even read the first chapter, they say this is very repetitive. They're just saying the same thing over and over again, trying to fill up the book. And I totally see where they're coming from. Now, I'm fortunate enough to not have come across one of these books, because obviously as a university student, I don't want to just be wasting money on repetitive books, and that's why I tend to go for, I guess, the bestsellers. And not only that, but I try to do a lot of research on a book that isn't a bestseller before I buy it, because obviously I have a lot that aren't bestsellers and stuff like that, because you can't just judge a book just because it's not a bestseller. For it to become a bestseller, it had to sell a lot of copies before it became a bestseller, you know what I mean? But one thing I've come across with a lot of these books is that they have one key principle. So an example I'm going to take is Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown. The whole principle of that entire book is to save time, to not waste time, to cut out the non-essential things. And one of the key elements of the book is saying, people nowadays say, my priorities, like before they used to be my priority, and when you have a lot of priorities, you never get anything done, because you should only have 1 to 2 priorities, 1 to 2, okay? People in businesses and stuff like that have 10 priorities that they have for the year, so if they can barely manage to achieve all of their priorities, what about all the other things that are still essential but are not as important, if you get what I mean? Because what Greg McKeown actually does is he goes around to all these businesses like Google and Apple and Microsoft and all these massive companies over in Silicon Valley, and gives these presentations to the higher ups, and especially the employees as well that are working on the ground, basically doing all of the legwork for these companies in terms of software development and developing new products and new ideas and stuff like that. And he gives them these presentations based on his book of how they can save time in their daily lives, because not only is it important to save time at work, but it's also important to save time at home, so that you have more time for yourself, so that you can be more productive while you're at work and more relaxed when you're at home. Now, coming back to the idea of literally judging a book by its cover, many people get enticed by these books because of the titles, okay? I'm not gonna lie, it's enticing to see these books, like the one I'm reading at the moment, and I'm just coming to the very end of it, and I've spoke about this in most of my episodes, is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I have like 6 chapters left, and I'm reading a chapter a day, so I should have it done within the next week, which is absolutely perfect. And when you see a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you're enticed. It's marketing. It's like anything else. It's like with a new iPhone or a new Coca-Cola ad. They want you to see what their product, they want you to notice what they're advertising. And I guess in a space such as books, it's so competitive because there's so many books out there, and realistically from face value to a lot of people, if you open up a book and then you open up another book, obviously because it's just text on a page, they look the exact same. So realistically, the only thing that the author can do is have a really enticing cover. And even this book that I'm reading now has been praised to death by Warren Buffett. And if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's the world's most famous investor investor, and he's the world's richest investor as well. Okay, he literally has like a net worth of like $60 billion, and he says that this book has changed his life in terms of how he does his business dealings, and he definitely would not be as rich as he is without the skills that are learned in this book. Now, looking from the cover of it, obviously it says how to win friends and influence people. A lot of people are saying, oh my god, okay, they think it's just going to be like some 5-year-old, you know, moving to a new town or starting school, how to make friends type of thing, ask people what their interests are, stuff like that. But after getting to practically the end of the book, I'm on literally, I think there's like 50 chapters in it, and I'm on the last 6, which I'm going to have finished in the next week, which is crazy. I'm going to do that after I finish recording this podcast episode. Is a lot of the skills that I've learned throughout the book are very applicable to everyday life. And the crazy thing about the book is that it was written in 1936 by obviously Dale Carnegie, who was a person who used to run this book as a course. He used to hold a course in, I'm pretty sure it was in some sort of school or an educational spot, and a lot of the examples that he gives are testimonials from his students and real life examples, because it's hard to say how these things can be applied to your own life, because even in the book he says, I know that it's crazy to be like, okay, this has worked in this one specific example, how is it going to work in your life? And then he actually tells you how it can work in your life and gives you a more up-to-date example, even though the book was written 100 years ago, which is so crazy. And I think it's amazing because it shows that knowledge like this is timeless, and it comes back to my point of, you know, books are just an untapped resource. Like, think about it, this is a book that has sold 16 million copies and was written almost 100 years ago, and is still providing value to people to this day. Like, it's absolutely crazy. So I think books like this deserve the credit that they do get, because obviously 16 million copies, obviously Dale Carnegie is long and dead now, but it's crazy to see just how relevant the information is. And to that I have to say, on the flip side of everything, there are a lot of self-help books out there that I've seen on Amazon when I'm browsing to get a new book that are really just going for the money grab. Or not even the money grab really, but I mean, I think a lot of things are a very sad excuse of a self-help book, because you might have a good point and it might be poorly written, or you might have a really bad point and it might be really well written, because a lot of times people get to the end of these self-help books and they're like, man, that was such a good book. What did I learn? Oh yeah, wait, what did I learn again? What's the name of this book? They're flicking through the chapters, they can't see anything, they're like, wait, what did I just learn from this whole book? And they're nearly more confused now after reading the book than before they read it, because they're like, I just read a whole book on this and I don't understand anything. Man, did I just read this completely wrong? And then they're even more confused. So I see now, especially with Amazon's Kindle Direct publishing, anyone can publish a book. Anyone can write a book and publish it on Amazon within a day. Amazon will do all of the printing for you, and you can get your own book on that on Amazon literally within 24 hours of submitting it. And a lot of people don't even know that. I think a lot of people still assume that you need to go to a publisher and then submit it and then take it back and then do the second draft and the first draft. And obviously when you're writing the book, you have to do that for yourself. But a lot of the times, stories are molded by the editors and by the publishers, because they were saying, we don't like this, change it. And a lot of you guys probably know what 13 Reasons Why is. If you don't, it's a book written by Jay Asher that was adapted into a Netflix original series. It's crazy, okay? Season 3 is coming out in like a week, so I'm sure a lot of you guys know what it is. It's basically about a teenage girl who moves to a new town, gets bullied, and ends up committing suicide. And she leaves a load of tapes to all the people that made her commit suicide, and she had them pre-recorded before she did it, and then she had them posted before she committed suicide, so then they all received them, and it's all about them listening to the tapes of what they did to make her make that crazy decision. But the whole basis of the story was that she was bullied and she commits suicide. And I was lucky enough to get the 10-year anniversary edition of the book. I actually watched the series first and then I got the book, but it just so happened to be the 10-year anniversary, which was crazy. And in the back of the book, it actually shows, you know, how much the author did not want the story to be what it actually became, you know? Like, he didn't want the main character, Hannah Baker, to commit suicide. It was actually the publisher that came up with that idea, because they were saying, you know, it can't be possible, it can't be done like this, you know? You have this real sad story and you can't just have her live at the end of it, she has to die. And I don't even know why I went into that random spell of telling you guys about 13 reasons why, but I just want to let you guys know that if you do want to publish on Amazon, it is extremely easy, and now more than ever with the internet and with the fact that you don't even have to get it approved by anyone, and anyone can start buying your book straight away once you submit it to Amazon, is absolutely crazy. Speaking of Amazon and self-help books, guys, if you guys are interested in audiobooks, then I highly recommend that you guys go and check out Audible, which is an audiobook company owned and run by Amazon. It's absolutely amazing. Luckily for me, I haven't had the need to use it because I feel like I have enough time to sit down and read the books myself, which I'm so grateful for, because I think there's nothing better about reading than actually being able to sit down and literally read it. But I know a lot of guys are out there, they're trying to commute to work, they're busy, they're working around the house, maybe you're working from home, you're commuting to work, you're just busy, you do not have time to sit down for an hour and read a book, and I totally understand that, because it's very easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, why are you not reading more? Jesus, I read for an hour, you know, because I know people do have lives, and as much as I advocate people looking at their day and cutting down what they don't need to do, I understand that not everyone is willing to do that. So if you guys would like another and easier alternative, and a pretty cheap alternative as well, guys, for a monthly subscription to Audible, I have a free trial for every single one of you guys in the description down below. And just for full disclosure and full transparency, guys, I am not sponsored by Amazon or Audible.com, but if any of you guys do sign up for a free trial, I will get a small, teeny tiny payment, like minuscule, guys, don't worry, a teeny tiny payment for you guys signing up. So if you guys would like to go and check out Audible for some amazing audiobooks, like any of the books I'm talking about in today's video, or any book at all, which is absolutely crazy, you guys can go and check that out in the description. And plus, I know some of you guys might like to read and like to read on Kindle, so if you guys are interested in Kindle reading, you can go and also get a free trial for that down in the description. Once again, guys, not sponsored, but I will get a small commission if you guys do sign up. So I think the whole idea of self-help books really took off over the past few years, and I think a lot of it has become so mainstream now, and especially with the rise of the internet, it's just so easy to share your ideas. Before, whether a lot of these things were just not as popular. I guess I wouldn't even say that they were secretive, because they weren't as secretive, it's just people didn't really have a mainstream platform like the internet to share their ideas, you know. If you wanted to get on TV, the network had to approve you, but now anyone can make a blog, make a Facebook page, make a Twitter account, make an Instagram page, make a YouTube channel, a podcast, whatever you want, and it's so easy. And I think a lot of young people like myself don't even realize how easy it is to get your opinion out there, and as competitive as it is, that is the challenge that we face, you know. It's so easy to get your opinions out there and your ideas out there, but so is it easy for everyone else, so the space becomes very crowded. But one book I read that really, I guess, made a mega impact on me was The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. If I was going to become a politician, I don't care what country you're in, whether you're in America, Ireland, the UK, wherever, I think everyone has this idea that politicians are, you know, they do nothing and they get paid a lot of money to do nothing. And I guess it's easy for us to say because we're just looking on, but we don't really know anything that goes on. But if I was to become a politician, I would follow the 48 Laws of Power word by word, because it basically teaches you how to be absolutely ruthless and literally, as the title says, gain power no matter where you are. And a lot of what the book says for you to do is very manipulative, it's very evil, and I think a lot of people would not even want to be caught reading this book, but I've read this book in public a lot of times. It's not like I'm reading the satanic Bible or whatever, I don't even know if that's a thing, but you know what I mean? It's not like I'm reading anything bad. I'm just trying to educate myself and stuff like that and see other people's ideas, but a lot of people wouldn't like to acknowledge that they've read the book or acknowledge that they think it's good. Like if you go to the 48 Laws of Power on Amazon, and actually I'll just link it down below because I want you guys to actually go and check it out, is if you go down to the comment section, everyone is saying, this is the most evil book I've ever read. Oh my god, if people followed this, you'd actually be an absolute psychopath. Because I'm not gonna lie, the book does tell you to lie a lot, it does tell you to manipulate a lot, and obviously I wouldn't put those into practice because I don't really have any need to. And one thing that the book does highlight is that it doesn't encourage you to use these in your everyday life. It says adapt it to your own situation. And one thing that the book does so well is that it gives you the law. So I'll take one example, and this is the intro one, so it's incredibly basic. It's like the very first one. It's never outshine the master. So basically, if you're an apprentice or if someone's teaching you something, you might want to show them up every now and then. You might be like, man, look at this, I'm learning and I did better than him, even though he's the one who taught me. And the rule is to never outshine them or never do better than them, because then they'll be like, this guy's going to try and replace me, and then he's just going to stop teaching you stuff. And I know some people might be like, okay, that's very basic, but that's just like the first one out of 48. You know, it gets very complex as you get into like the 20s and 30s, and especially obviously 40s onwards. Like once you get in after the first 10 or 15 laws, they start getting pretty complex. But one thing that the book does really well is that it gives you how someone throughout history, like a famous person in history or a famous story throughout history that is actually true, by the way, how someone didn't use the law and what result they got, and how someone else in history used that law and the results that they got. And then there's also a section called reversal, where how would you reverse this law? Because sometimes would it be okay to outshine the master, and it shows you certain situations, but in some laws it's like it is not okay to reverse this law no matter what situation you're in. Now coming back to the main whole idea and stuff like that, is like a lot of people are like, does this book actually help you? Is this a personal development book? Does this actually help you? You know, because I think nowadays in our society, and I've said this to so many people, whether it be my family or my friends or my girlfriend or anything, is that I think a lot of people have normalized the idea of making excuses, of saying I'm gonna do this and then cancelling it the next day. And I think it's very unhealthy for everyone, because I think no one holds anyone accountable that much anymore. You know, and a lot of people see that when you're reading self-help books, they think you're trying to one-up them. I think that's the thing, especially in Ireland. People hate, oh my god guys, to anyone who's listening in Ireland, you know better than anyone that people in Ireland hate when you're successful. Not successful, they like you being successful, but not more successful than them, okay? That is just the international rule, or the national rule. I don't know if that's an international thing though. Can anyone from like Ireland or you know, if you relate to that, let me know. But if anyone from like outside of Ireland, like anywhere in Europe or America or Australia or anywhere, because I've been checking out the demographics on the podcast, guys, and we've got people in New Zealand, we've got people in India, we've got people in Australia, America, like the UK. It's crazy. So I'm so excited and I'm so grateful to have so many people from all around the world listening to my ideas, because a lot of things I might say, and like just like the example I just gave, might be an Irish thing, but I'm not sure if that's a thing overall. You know, it's very, very resentful, I think, in Ireland. A lot of people they don't want you doing better than them. They're like, man, look at him, he got a new car. Oh geez, he thinks he's right hard. Oh, he thinks he's well cool. Oh man, he thinks he's better than all of us, even though the person literally just bought a new car because they wanted a new car. And some people, I'm not gonna lie, buy new stuff just to show it off. They buy things they don't want with money they can't afford. No, what am I saying? How am I gonna phrase this? They buy things they can't afford with money they don't have, that for impressing people that don't care about them. Okay? Remember that, guys. They buy things they can't afford with money they don't have to impress people they don't care about. Okay? And that is just the way it is in Ireland. And I just want to know, is that an international thing? Can you guys relate to that? Because just going off the whole idea of self-help, you know, a lot of people have said to me, and I know people haven't directly said it to me, but they might think, you know, oh man, why are you reading self-help books for? And I totally get it, you know. I don't expect everyone to understand why. It's just I guess the only type of book I really do enjoy. I don't really enjoy novels or anything like that, bar 13 Reasons Why, which is like my favorite book of all time. Or when I was younger, I used to read like A Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Man, that was like my favorite book series ever when I was younger. But I just find self-help books so interesting, because I feel like there's a lot about ourselves that we don't even understand. And especially now, I'm going on this huge spiritual enlightenment, spiritual journey, and I don't expect other people to understand that either. And I'm not saying that, oh, it's super complex and I wouldn't expect you to understand. I just don't expect people who aren't really interested in that type of stuff to understand, because I really didn't understand it either. And I think in the past I wrongfully dismissed it a lot, and without looking into it properly. And now that I have, I realize that it does align with the beliefs that I originally had before I discovered any of this spirituality stuff or anything like that. So yeah, it's just crazy. And I coming back to that point, guys, I'd really like to know if people in your country hate when people do good. Okay, it's like everyone wants to be seen having the newest stuff. And I think I said this to my nan a while ago. Yes, my nan, my grandmother of all people, I said, people would rather buy a brand new car and leave it sitting idle in the driveway just so that people can see it, than to buy a painting worth the same amount of money and hang it in their house where no one can see it. And I've always said that a car is the easiest way to show off wealth. You can have a mansion, but if it's a mansion out in the middle of the countryside, people won't see it that much. But if it's a car, you can take it anywhere and you can show off your wealth everywhere you go, you know? So I'm just saying like that, guys, do you believe in that? Or what is your opinion on that? Or do you think a lot of people just do things to impress others? Because personally for me, I've never ever been one person to have new things. I've never exactly been a materialistic thing, and that's kind of ironic because sitting in my room right now, looking around my room is covered in things, but it's not new things, it's just posters and decorations for my room. Realistically, like, I've never been one to have like, I need to have Mom, Dad, I passed my driving test, which I did like 2 or 3 months ago, but I wasn't like, Mom, Dad, I want my own car, I want a brand new BMW, like you see a lot of kids trying to flex on Snapchat or Instagram. I've never been one for, I need the newest iPhone. Like, I had an iPhone 5 up until like a year ago, and I just got the iPhone 6S like half a year ago, and I wouldn't mind, but it's already like 4 or 5 years old, you know. So I think you just have to have an attitude of gratitude, and instead of focusing on the things you don't have, realistically you don't need them anyway, but you know, you just need to be grateful for the things that you do have, because wherever you're listening to this podcast now, think of the power you have. You have the power to listen to my voice from the other side of the globe. You know, you have that power. You have the internet. Look around you, and now, right now, everyone listening to the podcast, look around you right now and say one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe, I don't know, but you guys might be at a Subway right now eating a sub sandwich, man. You gotta get that teriyaki chicken, cheese and pepperoni. I don't know where, that's so random, but wherever you guys are, literally, if you're at, like, just say if you're at a McDonald's or a Subway, say, be grateful that I have food. Be grateful I have money to have this food. You know, if you're in the middle of making dinner or making breakfast, if you're in a different time zone, if you're making a cup of tea, or if you're watching some TV, or if you're just playing some Xbox or PlayStation, or if you're just watching a YouTube video and listening to this, or if you're just doing some research, or if you're working on an assignment for school, or if you're just home from work, say, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful I have a job, because there's a lot of people that don't. I'm grateful that I have a job that provides me with money to live in the house I'm in. Wherever you guys are, be grateful. And I guess that's the main lesson that I'd like to tell you guys, because that's, as much as self-help, as much as, you know, I follow as much as I can what's read in these books, I think it depends on how you interpret them. And that's what I really enjoy about this whole spiritual enlightenment, is that it's different for everyone, and everyone goes on a different journey, and not everyone is the exact same. And it's not like, you know, oh, if you're not doing this, then you're not on a real spiritual enlightenment or anything like that. So I think the big idea with self-help books is that it's important that you read and consume all of the knowledge within the book, but then it's up to you to interpret as much of it and as much of that knowledge into your daily life. Because fair enough, like, I mean, I don't expect everyone who read the 48 Laws of Power to be going out lying to people and manipulating people and, like, you know, pinning people against each other and stuff like that. And especially, just say, with essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less and saving time, it's up to you to make those conscious decisions to save time and, you know, stop wasting your time on non-essential things, and make a list of priority, and then have everything else surrounding it once you get your priority accomplished. But guys, I don't even know where this podcast went, okay? Like, the direction of this episode just went left, right, and center, but looking back at it now, I'm really excited with where it came out, and I'd just like to say a big thank you to every single one of you guys who are listening right now, because literally, if it wasn't for you guys with all your support on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes and everywhere like that, I just, you know, it blows my mind. And for any of you guys who are listening on YouTube, I'd just like to let you know that I am on Spotify, and I am on Anchor and Castbox and, you know, Apple Podcasts and iTunes. So if you guys do not want to have your browser open all the time while having to listen to the podcast, you can go and do that, where you can lock your phone and you can take me on the go with you guys. Because if you guys have Spotify Premium, you can listen to me without internet, which is awesome. So guys, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. As always, I'm grateful to you and the universe for me being here and being able to communicate with you guys on this level. Have an amazing day, stay blessed, stay grateful, and I'll see you all on the next podcast episode.